It's 4 p.m. Stand up. It's count time. It's time for every man and woman to stand up and be counted. I'm Brother LD Azobra, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Time Podcast. Now, we got someone here today. We got someone who's been the community leader, pioneer, always been involved, a friend, confidant. We're going to be discussing here some major topics. We got the one and only here, Major Reginald Brown. Welcome to Count Time.
Thank you, Lyman, and it's always a pleasure to be in your presence and also on your program.
Oh, and look, it's an honor. And also, I'm disappointed you never had me on your program on major topics. How many years you done that?
Well, I did it for 15 years. I'm going to have to go back and do 15 plus 1 so I can get you on.
at least be on one of the shows.
Yeah.
But because of so much history, the dynamic things you've done in the Baton Rouge area over many, many years. I mean, you're a retired constable, sheriff deputy, a major, and just you've been so involved in the Baton Rouge community for a long. You are what's called a standout in our community. You've done so much, you've given so much, and continue to give so much. So we are honored to have you on Count Time today.
Well, thank you. As I said before, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for taking time just to even recognize, although I've always tried to be low-key and humble in what I've done, what I do, and what I will continue to do, because I'm committed to the thing of giving back.
Oh, you for real, for real. I mean, we're gonna get into how much you have given back, and always was innovative and on the front line of doing positive things in the community. That's just a Major Reginald Brown I know. And I was fortunate enough to meet you back in the days when I started my restaurant, Buffalo Wing Express. And you used to come through there and to give us support back in the days, and when it was the late 80s, early 90s. And you was a sheriff deputy at the time, working at East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff with Elmer Litchfield. And I used to come through there. You remember those days?
Yeah, how well do I remember those days right there on Highland Road.
All right then. As a matter of fact, when we started that program, how does they help us? You came to see me, and I made a little donation to help with that process, and spend many days working, many Thanksgiving working down there. We're going to talk about that. But let's find out. We're going to do a little, we call it a little regress to make some progress here. We want to find out some history of Major Brown, where you came from, where your days of Baton Rouge, how you ended up in Baton Rouge, your mom, your dad. Give us a little history and background of Major Brown.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of history. First of all, I'm fortunate enough to be basically raised by a mom, a grandmother, grandfather, and the community. My mom and dad were divorced when I was young, and I came from what I would consider humble beginnings, right in a little part of Baton Rouge that's called the Boulevard Bottom.
Boulevard Bottom.
The Boulevard Bottom.
That's a new one. They had never heard that before.
Yep, the Boulevard Bottom. And people who've heard that, they've got to be from back in the day. That's right there, North Boulevard and North 26th Street. Matter of fact, I just ran across some history, which I already knew. North 26th Street, before it became North 26th Street, was Lincoln Street. Lincoln Street. And it changed to North 26th when they gave the streets a number. And that was considered the Boulevard Bottom. And in that little community, at the corner of Convention and 26th Street is where I was born. I was born at the Lady Lake Hospital, but that was home, 208 North 26th Street.
You remember the address?
Yes, 208 North 26th Street. My mother was a military woman. She went to World War II.
Your mother went to World War II?
World War II, that's right.
Now give us your mom, what was her name?
She was what was called the WAC, the Women's Army Corps, and she went in 1942 and served 2 years, 2 months, and 14 days. The reason why I know it, she repeated it to me so many times. 2 years, 2 months, 14 days, to be exact, a few hours.
And where was she located at?
She was overseas.
Overseas.
She started in the United States here, but back then they needed women that went into the Women's Army Corps, particularly black women. Back then they were either Negro or colored. When they went in, she was a part of the postal section of the army that was overseas, that got the mail, distributed the mail to the soldiers, and also collected, on a sad note, the dog tags and other information on those soldiers that were killed, and packaged them up to be sent back to the United States, And when she went overseas on a ship. She saw soldiers that were buried at sea, because back then, they didn't have the means of doing the transportation of a number of people. So she actually witnessed, not actually seen, but persons that were buried at sea, because back then, she said, they let the women go downstairs in the hull of the ship while they had to bury them on that sliding board. And those are some of the things that she told me. But from there on, she came back to the United States, where she got out and became a school teacher. And the reason, it was a long trip to school teacher, because when she got back, she was not able to go to work at the post office.
She applied for a job.
She applied for a job at the post office, and they told her, come on down. They had some good news and some bad news. The good news was she passed the test, she qualified. The bad news was they couldn't hire because they didn't have indoor bathroom facilities for color. So
she just got through serving this country.
And she went right down to Piccadilly's and started working in the kitchen till she got to Southern University. Incidentally, let me just back up. She was in the first graduating class from McKinley High School in Baton Rouge, the class of 1928. She was in the first McKinley High School graduating class before she went to the military. And then coming from the military, then going to work at Piccadilly's until she got to Southern. And when she was able to get what was called a 2-year teaching certificate at Southern, she was able to go to work in a teaching capacity. She worked in, I think it was Mansfield and Oakdale.
Mansfield, Louisiana.
Mansfield, Louisiana.
I know where Oakdale is.
In Oakdale, matter of fact, Dr. J.K. Haynes was the individual who carried her to Mansfield, because that was as close as he could get her home to Baton Rouge when she was employed. So she was there for a year or so, and then moved a little closer to Oakdale. And then from Oakdale to Iberville Parish, where she finished out her teaching career for 30 years as an educator in the elementary school category there.
Well, what name of the school?
She started off in when she got there. I don't know the schools in Mansfield and Oakdale, but when she came to Iberville Parish, she went to Maringouin, Louisiana, and she was employed as an elementary school teacher at Upper Maringouin Elementary. And that's where she began her career in Iberville Parish. And in 1953, I joined over there because she was going back. I started off school at Miss Duty's kindergarten here in Baton Rouge that was on South 13th Street, now known as Eddie Robinson Boulevard, but it was South 13th Street, and Miss Judy's kindergarten was where the American Legion Hall was. And I went to kindergarten there for 2 years until I got to Perkins Road Elementary. I went to Perkins Road Elementary where Miss Tacknell was the principal, and went there for 2 years. And when I got to the 3rd grade, my mother was going back and forth across the river every day, every week rather. She spent staying across the river. She came back on weekends. And I asked her, after I completed my 2nd grade at Perkins Road, I asked her, could I go to school where she teach? I was in the 3rd grade. She was in elementary school. And she said, well, yeah.
You asked your mom.
Yeah, she said, yeah, you can. She said, but you know, you're going to have to give up some conveniences here in the city of Baton Rouge to go where I teach in the rural parish of Maryland. We don't have indoor toilets. We don't have air-conditioned buildings, not so much air-conditioned buildings, but buildings that were modernized. And I said, well, not thinking at the time, I said, well, you teach there, right? She said, yeah.
I also didn't mean that to you.
You can teach there, and I imagine I can go to school there. So you have to know my mom, she was a very firm person. She said, you know, we don't play backwards and forward. You make a decision that you want to go, that's where you're going to go. But once you start, that's where you're going to finish. I said, yes, ma'am. And the rest is history. I went to school at Upper Maryland, and just like she said, my first 2 years there, it was outdoor toilet. And you go to the trough to wash your hands, you eat your food at your desk, and on the way to school in the wintertime, you picked up wood along the side of the road to put in what was called a pot-belly stove to heat the classroom up.
You don't know nothing about no pot-belly stove.
Trust me. And I was in the 3rd grade there. Miss Rory Grimes was my 3rd grade teacher there. And we were in an old tin building, right there, Upper Maryland Elementary, right on Maryland Bayou. Down the road was another part of Upper Maryland Elementary, which was a little hall that had another grade for that school, because that school went from 1st to 8th grade. And up in Maryland was a church, Reverend Ward's church, that had what was called another section of the elementary school, which completed from 1st to 8th grade in 3 buildings, none of which were regular schoolhouse buildings. Of course, during that time, it was all segregated schools. Let me just say, I never had the opportunity to go outside of a segregated school sector until I got to Southern University. And as some would say, you can't miss what you never had. Well, I never really missed it because I loved my teachers, I loved my school, even though, you know, we had difficult circumstances and experiences. But those experiences offered me life-opening opportunities for what the future would offer, because sometimes you run into a certain situation and you think, well, you can't make it, you can't do this, you can't do that. You never know what you can do till you try. And if you work hard enough and you try and you're determined. And coming from a family that my mother was a military person, not being able to achieve was not the right answer.
Okay.
That was not the right answer. You're going to achieve. My mother always had a philosophy. There is no dumb person, no dumb child. Some learn faster than others, and I wasn't the fastest learner, and I wasn't the slowest learner. I was somewhere in the middle. And I'm not ashamed to say that, but, I was able to make it through. Went on to high school,
And we went to high school.
Levy in Rosedale, Louisiana.
Rosedale.
Right. We just had a class reunion, a school reunion. T.A. Levy in Rosedale, Louisiana. T.A. Levy was a modernized high school. Matter of fact, Upper Maryland built a new school after, I think I was in 4th grade then. They built a new brick building school that had lights, had
lights
in it. I mean, and a heater.
Elementary school didn't have no heater, no light?
No, we had electricity that ran through the building at Upper Maryland, but it was a challenge. But those challenges made you stronger and better, because you were able to learn that you could do a lot with a little bit of nothing if you knew how to manage it properly. And we were able to do that. But T.A. Levy was another milestone in my life. Someone would ask me when I come back to Baton Rouge on weekends sometime to visit and see friends here, say, high school over the country. I said, I love it. I love it. I learned a lot over there that I probably would have not had the opportunity to learn here. And I had an adopted family over there. Matter of fact, my adopted family over there was Mr. Emmanuel Crump, Miss Pauline Crump, and their family, Maxine Crump, Eugene Crump.
Maxine family.
Maxine, that's right, Eugene. Maxine was my classmate. Eugene, her brother.
So you and Maxine graduated the same?
Emmanuel and Peggy Lee.
So what year you graduated from high school?
Graduated from high school in 1964. Next year will be 60 years we would have been out of high school.
Okay, then.
Had a chance to play on the very first T.A. Levy State Championship AA football team in 1960.
Now hold on. Now you said you had a chance to play, or you was a water boy?
L-I-A-L-O.
You was a water boy, or you played?
No. I was the scrub that made the team and played in a couple of games. But I was one of 2 freshmen that made the team. Me and my classmate Leroy Fowler, the only 2 freshmen. And in 1960, under Curtis Trent, we won state championship, undefeated. T.A. Levy. And I tease some of my friends in Baton Rouge because got a good old friend named Ike Thomas. We played McKinley in a jamboree. And guess what? We beat McKinley.
Y'all beat McKinley.
AA high school played a AAA high school.
Y'all came to town.
Baton Rouge.
Y'all came to town to beat McKinley. It beat McKinley.
Beat McKinley. And I told Ike, I said, in 1960 we beat McKinley. He said, that wasn't no real game. I said, wait a minute.
Don't count that as a real game, man.
I said, what you mean it wasn't a real game? Y'all had 11 men on the field. We had 11 people on the field. And that was a score. And at the end of that game, the score had us leading. He laughed. He said, I wasn't there. I graduated in 1959, and I was gone. But that wasn't a real game. I said, okay, well, if that makes you feel better, that's fine. I said, but it's not going to steal from my ego. We were undefeated.
I told a story about your mom while she was in the military in the wax. She did meal carrying, but when she came back to her home country and state, they would not hire her because there was not bathrooms, indoor bathrooms.
Indoor bathroom facilities for color.
No, but you took a task on where you took riding the bicycle. Tell us about the story what you did.
Well, first, I took the task. I was in school at Southern, and as mother would say, you did not behave yourself like you should. Now you have fathered a child, or you're going to be a father of a child. My oldest son, Reggie Jr., who later was killed killed in a car accident. In 1965, he was born. And I told my mother, I said, well, she said, I told her the young lady was pregnant, and I brought her because she was afraid to tell her mom. So I brought her to my house to my mother. Told my mother always told me, nothing you can hide from me, and everything you think you need to tell me, because I'm going to find it out sooner or later. And I believe that and know that to be true. So and it really was a real hard challenge. I brought her and told her, and she looked at me and she said, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to marry her. And she said, well, that's good. She said, well, what else do you have in mind? I said, well, you know, I'm in school. You told me you want me to go to school and get a degree and everything. I'm at Southern University. She said, yes, I did. Okay. But I didn't tell you that I wanted to be a grandmother at the time. So I think what you're going to have to do is look at, she was reading the newspaper. You need to look in this newspaper for the employment section because you're going to need a job. I said, job? I said,
that never crossed your mind?
I said, job. And she said, yeah. I said, well, I mean, I'm going to be going to school and we're going to get her in school at Southern. She said, well, yes, but who's going to take care of the expenses? I said, oh, well, she could have a baby at the charity hospital. She said, what? She said, where were you born? I said, at the Lady Lake Hospital. She says, where that baby's going to be born. She said, no, there are ways to do that. She said, that's not Charity's baby. Charity didn't make that baby. You did. It's your responsibility. I think that's when I got my first wake-up call about responsibility and understanding the seriousness of manhood, parenthood, and doing the things that you need to do and not depend on somebody else to do. And I kind of still soft pedal. I'm looking for a job, you know, and it took too long. And she and her older sister, my aunt, decided that they would look for me. And they found something for me. And it happened to be on the back of the trash truck for the city of Baton Rouge.
Okay then.
And I said, Mother, she said, I'm taking you down there Monday morning. They have a job, and all you have to do is fill out this paperwork, and you're going to work. And right after that, I went to work at, I think it was 6 or 7 in the morning, but I got off at 3 in the evening. Well, right around the corner from North 26th Street was a service station that come to Eugene in Florida. It's called Florida Street Exxon, or Florida Street Exxon. It might have been Esso there, but nevertheless, she went around there and the man said they needed somebody to work from 4 to 12 at night. I said, well, I'll get off at 3. She said, yeah, that gives you time to come home, change clothes, and then go there. And you get off at 12 and sit up rest. So I went to work at the service station.
Oh, your mom's a bad girl.
And she said, this will help pay the doctor, because the doctor, who was Dr. A.T. Montanino, said that he would deliver the baby at the Lady Lake Hospital only, not at the charity, not at the Hurricane Lawn, no, but at the Lady Lake Hospital. That bill was paid, and his bill was paid. So my 2 jobs helped pay both of those bills. And he kind of laughed and chuckled toward the end after I paid him. He said, young man, let me just say to you, Because then you didn't know whether it was a boy or a girl. He said, now you may owe me a little bit more money. You may owe me $10 more. That baby's born and it's a boy because it's got to be circumcised. And you owe me $10. I said, yes, sir. And it was a boy, it was Reggie Jr., but I didn't mind at all paying that $10. You know, but that was the hard knocks of learning and picking up responsibility. And every week I got paid at the service station. I come sit at this table right here, this very table we sit at today. This is the table that came from my grandmother. My grandfather was close to 100 years old, if not older. It's the table we would sit to on North 26th Street, and I'd lay my earnings out and everything on the table for my wife and my mother, and figure out what goes where, how to budget, how to manage. And from there I learned. And I learned also at that time how to write a resume and put some paperwork together, because I wasn't going to be, you know, working on the back of the trash truck.
How long did you work on the back of the trash truck?
And I worked on it a little better than 6 months, you know, a year. And also at the service station. And in between that, went to work at Daniel Battery and stepped up a little bit. And Mr. Taylor, Bob Taylor, who was the manager at Daniel Battery, called me and said, when I was on the line working the battery, assembly line for Daniel Battery, he said, Brown, because that's what he called, Brown, look here. I said, yes, sir. He said, I'll put you on a truck. You look like you'd be able to drive across the state and go to Texas and Florida and Alabama, Mississippi, places like that, to deliver Daniel batteries. So I did that. I had that experience. I learned to do that, did all of that. And one day I was downtown taking care of some business at the post office and to go to the IRS building to get my paperwork, because I was asking them about certain things that I may qualify for and what I didn't qualify for. And the young lady at the desk at the post office was sitting down the stairs, and she said, sir, we have a chest opening here, post office, and I said, nah, because I wasn't there for that. I wasn't there. I'm going upstairs and got my paperwork. So when I came back down, she said, sir, come here. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, why don't you go down and put your application in and then at least try. And I said, well, I'm really not interested. I said, I'm working. I already work. And she said, yeah, but you think post office might not have some benefits that maybe the other job doesn't have? And they keep on saying no. I said, yes, ma'am, give me the paperwork, I'll fill it out. And she told me whether mail it back in or whatever. So I did. So they sent a notice out to come take the postal test. Postal test was, at that time, in the old Cablevision building, right down Florida Boulevard, right where the community college is now. That's where Cablevision used to be. And I took the test, and I guess 3 weeks or so later, a month later, I got the results back. I passed the test. So another said, oh, no, I passed the post office test. I laughed. And so they called me and said, we have a substitute carrier position open. And when I looked at the salary and looked at what I was making, I told her, I said, I think I'm going to go down here and see if they would accept me if I could get this job. And when I came back, I got it. I came back to her and said, Mother, I got your job for you. I said, the job that they didn't give you, I got it. I said, I got your job. I worked there for about 6 months, but those 6 months, I enjoyed it. And I think what happened those 6 months, the challenge I had there was I was on foot the whole while, and they kept telling me, we're getting those bounded routes, and once you become regular, you qualify for one of those bounded routes. I looked at it between that time and trying to think whether I was going to get back in Southern University or whatever. I went to work for Joe Delpit at the Chicken Shack because he wanted me to, he was getting ready to run for council person. And I went to work for him. And when I wasn't working in his campaign, I was working at the Chicken Shack. And most times at Chicken Shack, a lot. And the Chicken Shack I worked at, 1492 Harding Boulevard. That's where Top Choice is now. That was the Chicken Shack in Scotland. Okay. And Southern University football and the coaches and everybody would come in, and I see them going, and I tell someone, I say, I'll be back. But by that time, Edwin Edwards was running, after Joe got elected, Edwin Edwards was running for governor. And Edwin Edwards got elected, and I went to work in the governor's office of consumer protection. And I worked there for a short period of time, about short of a year, maybe 6 or 8 months. And then I went to work at Southern University. And that was my first long-term employment. I was working at Southern University for 3 years, and I was, as they would say, fat, dumb, and happy. I mean, I worked every day, off on weekends, had opportunity to, in office director of the Centric System, and work with student affairs, and something that I really enjoyed doing. And a friend of mine, the young man who's deceased now, came to me and told me, he said, look, you may be laying off over here, man, looking in your department, see if it's something you might have that I can get. I said, okay. He worked at Southern at that time also. So during that time, Al Amos called me, the sheriff Amos, and he said, I got a job opening. You interested? And my mind hit me and said, well, yeah, sure. Never said no. Yeah, I said, yeah, sure. Let me know what it's about or where. So he said, well, I got to hire somebody soon. So let me know if you're interested. Jacob, where's that? Well, right then, it really didn't matter. I was interested, but I wasn't, because I've been working Southern for 3 years, as long as I've been on a job in my life, and had benefits and everything, doing fine. Well, the same young man came back to me and he said, June 30th, I think it was June 30th or August 30th. No, I think it was June 30th. So yeah, I think it was June 30th. So it's going to be my last day. I'm going to be laid off. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, well, let me check. I wouldn't tell him anything. I called the sheriff. I said, look, Sheriff, I'm working, I'm doing fine. I said, but I got a friend, good man, that's going to be laid off, and he needs a job. Can you consider him? But no, you can't hire nobody on my job. I'll offer the job to you. You can't hire nobody and pass it on. I said, well, hold up, Sheriff, hold up. Just hold up. So then I had to go back to my boss at Southern, who was Harold Turner, the business manager in the business office at Southern. I said, Mr. Turner, I told him this individual's name, which I won't mention because he's deceased now. I told him, I said, he's being laid off. I said, you know him, he's a good man. I said, I got a job I can go to, but I would like to know if I left this job, would you consider giving it to him? He said, oh, I don't know about that. He said, I don't know. I said, Mr. Turner, he's a college graduate. He's an educated person too. He can do his job probably better than me. But I will help train him on the job if you are going to tell me that he is going to have the opportunity to at least try it before I take another job or turn it down. And he said, give him a day or two to think about it. I did. I came back and he said, I thought about it. You say you were training. I said, Mr. Turner, I will train him. I'll give you 2 weeks notice before I leave. And I'll come back and give him whatever assistance is necessary to learn his job. It's not control over who the post office hires. I will do whatever I can. That gave me the opportunity to further enhance the efforts of getting on at the post office. I didn't know if that, I knew it didn't hurt, but it certainly helped, I'm sure. But that was my bicycle ride. I rode that bicycle on a Sunday afternoon, a sunshiny day on a Sunday from North 26th and Convention across to the governor's mansion over right where it is today. And, referred back to when I worked at the sheriff's office. I worked at the sheriff's office 25 years, and I was really doing fine and happy. And some friends came, and some other folk, including Sheriff Elmer Litchfield, said, look, the constable's office has a vacancy. I said, a vacancy? I said, yeah. Say, that's when they had a break in services of the former constable, and he was stepping down.
Who's the constable at that time?
Mr. Constable Buddy Wilson.
Okay.
He stepped down, and that office was vacant. The council filled the seat temporarily, but they had to have a special election. Well, a regular election, because it was less than a year left on that term. So they had to have a regular election. And I said, I don't know if I'm gonna run for that office. I said, I'm happy here, I'm satisfied here, and content. Again, job with tenure, 25 years, benefits, doing fine, in a good position. And I said, well, you could do some of the things that need to be done in that office. I think I really was encouraged to run for that seat because they said I could do something for the office, not what the office could do for me. That I could do something for the office. And in law enforcement, I was dedicated and committed to the field of law enforcement, and I went on and ran. And then the rest, I was elected.
You became the first.
I became the first black city constable in that office. And I was reelected twice. And somebody asked me after I retired, said, why you retired? You thought you were going to get beat in the election coming up? I said, well, that really never crossed my mind. I said, because I didn't think I'd done anything that would cause someone to defeat me, the public to say they did not want me to be elected to the office. I said, I think it was time for me to step back. I've been there 18 years, and I think I've done a lot to change some of the things that they saw that needed to be changed. I said, we did a lot of things. We brought structure, professionalism, training, and I know one thing that we did in that office that I'll never forget. I went in, the young man was in that office, and I told him, I said, you know, we're going to send someone from this office to the FBI Academy. He said, well, we don't qualify for that. I said, excuse me? He said, we don't qualify for that. I said, who told you that? He said, they said we're not law enforcement. I said, well, okay. I said, well, we'll see about that. I've always been one that always take the high road and the positive road, the positive attitude. You say we can't, we will. You say there's not a way to do it, we'll find a way.
Okay.
Bottom line is, I sent the first person to the FBI Academy from that office. Then I turned around and sent the second person to the FBI Academy from that office. Not only one, but two. And I left and go to a conference in Texas. And a friend, Constable over in Texas, has a huge office in Harris County. Constable Ron Hickman. And I got there, Ron had over 600 employees. He's bigger than
The sheriff office.
the sheriff office. Yeah. I said, Constable Hickman, I said, you ever been to the FBI Academy? He said, oh no, they said, we don't qualify for it. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, well, I'm going to share something with you. I said, I think they try to keep that a secret and not let people know. I said, you're law enforcement. I said, you definitely have all of the ingredients to be able to be accepted. And when I showed him, I had sent two. He immediately applied and was accepted and went to the FBI Academy. So it taught me something. When people come to you and tell you what they say and tell you what you can't do, if it's good and it's the right thing to do, and you convinced that this is something that's going to be beneficial, not something to just put something on your shoulder, something to put a bright star in your hand, to walk around and say, you got this, you got that, but you're doing it because it's going to further enhance your training, your credibility, your integrity of your office. Go for it. They can't tell you but one thing, we decline, you're not going to be able to get it. Okay, but if you keep on trying, keep on pushing, they always say, keep on knocking on that door. You knock on it long enough and hard enough, it's going to open. And my history in that respect has been one that I thoroughly enjoyed. When I left the constable's office, I would be remiss if I told you I didn't miss it. I did. I missed the sheriff's office. I missed law enforcement. As I look at some of the things going on today, I say the changes and things that are being made, and some of the challenges and struggles out there, it troubles me because it's an industry that not just me, a lot of us, persons that I work with side by side in the sheriff's office, as well as in the Baton Rouge Police Department and all other law enforcement agencies across the country. The good law enforcement officers, they talk about some of the bad elements. There are bad elements in everything in life.
In everything.
There are bad athletes, there are bad teachers, there are bad truck drivers, there are bad people who work on bridges and highways and everything else. But that doesn't make the whole industry a disaster that is no good. It means that you have to wean those out that are not cut out for that particular element of work, Because everybody's not cut out for law enforcement. I'll take the profession I was in. everybody is not cut out for that particular line of work, law enforcement. I wrote a farewell message for an officer that got killed in the sheriff's office while I was there. And the theme of it was, we're the first call, the first criticized, and the last recognized. The first call. They call law enforcement for everything. If a cat's in a tree, the ball went in the water, this, that, or the other, they call law enforcement. You're the first criticized for whatever, and you're the last recognized for whatever. But that's okay. That's okay. That's a brand that we carry. And we don't carry it here, we carry it here at our heart. Because when you go out and you talk to people, you use this. If you use more of this, you'll never have to use this as often. I'm not saying that there's not going to come a time that you don't have to go to your sidearm, or your baton, or your pepper spray, or whatever. But I'm saying that if we use more of this to communicate, I've been to a number of situations, you know, and I'm certain I've not been in the worst. And thank God I haven't, but I've been to some where it could have gotten a hairline, you know, hair could stood up on the back of your head. But it's the way you treat people. Some of the best people I met on the street in law enforcement that I met when I was carrying the mail. Back during the day when I was carrying the mail, and they was checking mail out the mailboxes on check day. Those checks, you know, they do they were that welfare check or that federal government check or that whatever check came, they knew the days it came in that brown envelope. And when that check came, there were people out there to, you know, watch it. And they
waited on it too.
Yeah, one of the guys stopped me one day and said, hey, Mr. Pope. And I knew they were, and they laughed. Look here, man, why don't you do me a favor? Why don't you just bring the sack on over here and let me get them little envelopes out there? Because you know we're going to be behind. And I just looked back and laughed. I said, I know you're joking, and I'm not going to even entertain that. I said, I got to do my job. And it went on, and it was a joke. Don't you know, when I went to work for the sheriff's office, I was about to go knock on the door of a house in that particular community. And one of those same individuals said, hey, Major Brown, you used to carry the mail out there. I said, yes, sir. What? Let me holler at you a minute. He came over to talk to him. He told me some things that I needed to know that indicated that I did need to knock on that door at that particular time. He didn't have to do that. But he had it here. And those are the people you need out there on the street. I mean, you need those people like that. You have a feeling for them. They have a feeling for you. You take care of them and treat them right, with respect, you don't know how many times that's going to come back to pay you back. It may not ever come back, but nevertheless, you know you've done. He didn't have to tell me that. And I never forgot that. I came back to the office, and I used that when I had meetings with, when I was in the sheriff's office with our deputies going out, doing things. I did that when I met with, when I was in the counselor's office. I taught a class in the sheriff's office in the academy. It was on community relations, how to meet and greet people. And when you stop someone greet them, and greet them with respect, and greet them with sincerity. If you do that, you know, you're not going to always get a smile, not going to always get a hug. I probably made, I guess, in the constable's office and the sheriff's office, numerous traffic stops. And I probably wrote out less than 20 tickets, but numerous traffic stops. And if I stopped someone and I told them that light was red that you ran, I just want to give you a warning on that, you know. And they looked and said, it was red. I said, yeah, it was red. I said, well, I appreciate you telling me that, sir. I said, thank you. I said, have a good day. Just be careful. Be careful. Or if you made some other amount of traffic infraction, you know, I was able to, you know, communicate and establish that type of, and you did it for a number of reasons, because I was in uniform. I was in uniform. And I was in the constable's office, I would be in uniform and sometimes in plain clothes, but I was on a marked unit. That was the other thing. I didn't ever mind driving a marked unit. They said, why are you driving a marked unit? I said, because that's what I want to drive. One of the scariest times of my life was being down in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. And we had to carry a semi down with about 4 units and a big old truck with all types of supplies and things for the police department down in New Orleans. And that same day, we were down there. It was that Sunday on that bridge when those persons got shot on that bridge. And we were down there, constable's office. And those are just some of the things in my life, but it goes all the way back to my mother, my home training, my grandmother, my grandfather, my family, my aunt. When my mother died in 1992, my aunt lived, the older sister, who became my other mother, lived until 2000. Matter of fact, in 2000, right after I got elected, she passed in, but I had gone to take my campaign crew to Alcorn Southern football game after the campaign, and I had won. And while I was gone, my aunt passed, and my oldest son, Reggie Jr., when I got back, he told me that my aunt had passed, and he started making arrangements. And I said, well, why you didn't call me? He said, Dad, you were in Alcorn. You were with the campaign crew. I didn't go to that game because I had some things to do here, but you carried the campaign crew. It wasn't doing any good to interrupt you up there. There wasn't nothing you could do. But just, your day would be messed up. I said, well, thank you. That's good. And, but she stayed on this earth, and I think God kept her here till after I got elected, because I took care of her between my oldest son and my oldest daughter. When I was out of town, the two of them would take care of her if I was out of town. And she stayed here until after I got elected. She too, retired school teacher. One other thing I didn't tell you, my mother and her 3 sisters, all 4, graduated from McKinley. All 4 graduated from Southern University. All 4 taught school. All 4 retired. And between the 4 of them, they had 106 years teaching experiences in the education system and the public school system in the state of Louisiana. All in Louisiana. All 4. Teresa, Beatrice, Melna, and Vivian.
And what was your mom's name?
My mom, Teresa.
Mama Teresa.
They were known as the Bell sisters.
Oh, their last name was Bell? B-L?
Yeah, they were Bells.
Okay.
They were the Bell sisters. That's when they started off in McKinley. Charles and Virginia Bell's children. My mother was a corporal in the military, Corporal Teresa M. Bell.
But you never served in the military?
Huh?
You never served in the military?
Oh no, my brother did. I did. I never served.
Now give us a little information, because most people we hear about the city police, sheriff office, constable office. What do the constable office, the sheriff office in the city, what's the difference in the services?
Very good question. I'm glad you asked that. The constable's office is the enforcement arm of Baton Rouge City Court. It is the enforcement arm of Baton Rouge City Court. Baton Rouge City Court for misdemeanor offenses that the city police, constable's office writes summonses on. Also, it takes care of, the constable's office provides building security for Baton Rouge City Court. It provides evictions for Baton Rouge City Court. It provides garnishments for Baton Rouge City Court. It provides warrant arrests for Baton Rouge City Court. It is better known as the enforcement arm of Baton Rouge City Court. Now, its duties can expand beyond that upon need. And by that I mean, if they see something that's going on out there, whether it be a murder, armed robbery, or whatever, they are authorized and have the training to do whatever is necessary within their means to take whatever steps to preserve safety for all involved. Not so much the investigative aspect of it, but if helping to apprehend, helping to prevent, certainly, because they wear a badge, they carry a gun, they have been trained to do whatever is necessary in these particular situations. Now, the sheriff's office is the chief law enforcement officer of East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office. They're the chief law enforcement officer of East Baton Rouge Parish.
Let me ask you a question. Now, is the sheriff office is the only lawful, what we say lawful office that has the power to arrest, incarcerate? What is that?
No.
Okay.
Every law enforcement officer that is commissioned, post-certified, and trained has the authority to make a legal, lawful arrest. Every law enforcement officer.
Okay.
A constable, deputy constable, a deputy sheriff, a city police officer, a state police officer. They all have their own territorial and jurisdictional responsibilities. The sheriff's office takes care of district court, state court. District court is known in Louisiana as state court. And he also is the holder of the local jail, not the jail, the prison, the parish prison is managed by the sheriff's office. The state police bring prisoners to the sheriff's jail or the sheriff's prison, and when I was in the constable's office, they could bring them to the constable's office because we have a city jail that's a temporary lockup facility. And the reason for having that is because when the constable goes out to the prison to bring prisoners downtown to go to city court, they have to have a place to put them.
Okay, then.
They go in this city jail and then are brought up to the judges of that. You have 5 city court judges in Baton Rouge City Court. In district court, you probably got 16 or more civil and criminal court judges. Plus you got family court and juvenile court judges in in the 1980s. In city court, you got 5 city court judges. Now, let's go a little step further because 3 particular departments parallel and we all work close together. The U.S. Marshal's Office, the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, and the Baton Rouge City Constable's Office. All 3 have courtroom security responsibilities. The U.S. Marshal polices federal court and houses federal prisoners temporarily in the federal building until they bring them to the sheriff's office, which there is a federal lockup facility within the parish prison that the federal government paid for and has space there. So when the marshal has to bring federal prisoners, there won't be any worry about where you're going to put them. They have a facility there, and the sheriff and the federal government have a what you would call an MOU, an agreement there.
What is the MOU?
MOU is a memorandum of understanding, so that they know that this facility is paid for by the federal government, but when it's not being used by the federal government, sheriff, you can use this facility for whatever your needs are. But when a federal prisoner comes in, they need to have the opportunity to put their prison there.
They take precedence.
They take it right at first base because, and they only bring them there when they bring them to court. That's all.
Now, when they bring them there, you got to separate them from the rest of the
Oh
population.
yeah, you rest of the population, yeah. And that's not a biggie. That's something that's a memorandum of understanding is well established there. The federal government will sometimes the U.S. Marshal will ask us if they're looking for someone, and if we have knowledge, when it's in the constable's office or the sheriff's office, if we could help them, we did, and they always helped us. Matter of fact, before I retired, I had a deputy constable assigned to the U.S. Marshal's office. That brings on the unity in relationships. I also had a deputy constable assigned to the Attorney General's office, working on that trafficking, the sex trafficking type thing going on. We had someone assigned to the Attorney General's office to assist with that because they didn't have enough personnel, and we were able to get that type of relationship. So if I called on the Attorney General's office to help us in some capacity, they were able to. Same thing with the U.S. Marshal's office. And the same thing, we had a reciprocal type agreement. And of course, Baton Rouge Police Department and Sheriff's Office always knew if it was something that they needed, we had a good relationship.
Now, you also work very closely through your office. Also, I remember when you was a sheriff, you worked very closely with Southern University. So you kind of became the what do you call that? The man for Southern University when it came to law enforcement or assistance of the university.
Well,
It's travel. And,
yeah.
I mean, like, you be with Coach Richardson, you take him, a football team, basketball team, baseball. You was the man. Everybody who came to Major Reginald Brown for help and support to get our team where it need to go.
Well, this happened when a young man called me and told me that Southern University was getting ready to go to Alcorn, and they didn't have an escort for the football team. And I said, well, what do you mean they don't have an escort? He said, well, they don't have an escort. They need someone to help with that. Can you arrange to see what you can do if the sheriff would help? I said, well, I'll go talk with Sheriff Litchfield and ask. Well, I went to talk to Sheriff Litchfield and I said, Southern's getting ready to go to Alcorn this weekend. And this was like on a Monday. I said, this Friday they go to Alcorn. They don't have escort. And then I said, can we assign a unit to go with? And he looked and said, yeah, I can assign a unit. I said, okay, good. He said, wait, hold up. So we're going to assign a unit to go with them and to be with them whenever they need escort. But you're going to be with the unit. I want you to be. I said, yes, sir, not a problem. Not a problem. And I went to talk with Coach Pete Richardson and told him that we would be taking care of the team. And then after going to Alcorn, I came and I talked with someone I knew at State Police. I said, well, look, you ought to escort in the LSU. He said, well, yeah. I said, but LSU, we'll sign troopers with LSU, but LSU flies their football team. I said, well, Southern uses the buses. I said, so in the unit, I said, can you assign one? I said, I'm going to be in a unit. If you can assign a state police, and I said, I would feel more comfortable with not just me by myself, but a state police unit being with us. Also, I said, he said, well, I might not be able to do it all the time. I said, well, whenever you can do it, I'd appreciate it. I say, and I'm gonna take care of it, regardless. And we did. To show you how that worked. It worked well, and then I think it was halfway middle of the season. That was during the time LSU's would come in after a game and the coach's film was cut wherever in the studio. But nevertheless, that film had to be transported once it got there the next morning to New Orleans, to WDSU in New Orleans, or WWL, whatever one of the states, I think it was WDSU in New Orleans. One Sunday that film didn't make it, and it didn't air. So someone from LSU called the sheriff and said, can you have someone to take care of getting that film for us to New Orleans, because last week it didn't make it. And we had some fans and sponsors that weren't so happy. The sheriff called me and said, I need some help from you. I said, yes, sir. He said, I need someone that can go to Channel 2 every Sunday morning at 6 o'clock and get that film and get it to New Orleans. I said, consider it done, not a problem. We did it. Wonderful marriage relationship. I was able to get that done. Escort the football team. And finally the state police was able to assign someone with me on most of the escorts. But Pete knew, Coach Pete Richardson knew, the only thing I needed to know was that itinerary, have it, so that I could call ahead wherever we were going, and then all the other in between here and wherever we were going, our destination, know when we would be traveling, how we would be traveling. We would, most of the time, it would be a unit, 2 buses, and 1 cargo van. Not cargo, a semi. That was it. And it was Did that for almost 10 years.
You was telling me a story one time about y'all going to Mississippi Valley. In the back roads of Mississippi Valley. That was interesting travel.
Man, I tell you, Mississippi Valley, going in that delta, and the Southern team, we always left that Friday. If it was a Saturday game, we left that Friday. And that Saturday after the game, regardless of where you were, unless you were in Atlanta in the Heritage Bowl, you coming right back after the game. And that was definitely a challenge. So you had to be prepared, whether it was Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Tallahassee, Florida, Mississippi Valley, and Edabina, Houston, with Texas Southern, Prairie View. That wasn't a problem.
They got better roads.
Yeah, but that Mississippi Valley, I had never seen so many hooks and crooks and turns in the road in my life. And I told Luke, I slowed down and I told the buses by me because the guy who drove the lead bus was down. And I said, Darryl, look, slow down, hold it up. I said, because, man, the fog is deep, the curves are deep, and it ain't nothing on either side of the road, but, down there. So, slow it down so we can get out of here safely until we can get to, the straight road.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning.
1 o'clock in the morning. Coming out of that.
The back roads of the Delta.
That was definitely the Delta. And look, one of the troopers from Mississippi told me and said, "Oh, it's better now." I said, "What you mean it's better now?" I said,
"Y'all got it bad."
I said, man, I wouldn't want to cook people if it was any way. But we, and they helped us as much as they could, but we were able to weather that storm, and I really enjoyed that. I got a chance to meet people all across the country, and when we went to Chicago, we did fly.
Okay, y'all big time.
We did fly, and we played at Soldier Field. I enjoyed that, and it was a wonderful experience there. And going to Atlanta for the Heritage Bowl, we got a chance to go up there. We spent for the Heritage Bowl sometimes 4 or 5 days. It's a bowl game, and you spend 4 or 5 days up there, and it was lovely.
And hanging around the swag. That had to be a wonderful experience.
Hanging around the swag, I'm gonna tell you, that is another beautiful experience. I told people, I said, if someone had told me before it was like that, I would probably have not believed them. But meeting people and the coaches, the fans, and everyone was just, hospitable, and you never went anywhere. We drove once we got the team in, because wherever we were playing, Jackson, Mississippi, or wherever, when you got the team to the stadium from the hotel, and you got them to the stadium, wherever there was a tailgate, they waving for you. Come over.
Well, you was going to eat. You was going to have to worry about getting a good meal.
You don't ever have to worry about getting a good meal.
That's one advantage of traveling.
Look, the best cooks in the world, and the Bayou Classic, same thing. When we drove into the Dome, we got if the game was going to be a 1 o'clock game or 2 o'clock game or whatever, well, we got players into the Dome for about 10 o'clock that morning. Right after breakfast, you got them in the Dome. You come out that Dome, well, you in uniform, you just walk on in and the gates anywhere.
Now, you got to give me for your best estimation, calculation, taste bugs, who was the best two SU tailgaters that you to this day would say they took care of you, they handled the business, they had the best show, but the food was excellent. Who would that be? Who would be the best two tailgaters?
The best two tailgaters.
Who had the best food, basically?
I probably would have to say the 6-man club with Anna Jones, Ike Chalmers, and Elijah Willis.
Oh, you just giving all your friends. You wanted to give
they weren't just friends.
Well, give all your friends a kudos.
No, they had a spread, and that was when I was driving. They had a spread. Now you had a couple of other groups out there. Matter of fact, would think that we got ready to drive up to go to the stadium. I forgot who Southern was playing in Las Vegas. I think they might have been playing Howard, but it was in Las Vegas. We drove up that hill. You could see nothing but the smoke coming from up in the cloud of smoke. And I said, where's the smoke coming from? And then you look, you saw all them RVs. And I said, he said, man, that's the Southern folks.
They was on fire.
I said, you mean they drove them RVs from Louisiana? They had so many up there, and I'm trying to think, the Hall brothers then. There was Lewis Hall,
Terry,
Charles Hall, and Fred Hall. That's the guys that had food lined out. Had food lined out, and it was just great. It was just great.
You remember that? That's it. They had to set the Las Vegas on fire.
And look, when you look up that hill, you were saying, well, where's all that smoke coming from? I thought it was smog or something. So they had the pitch going, but as they say, they had the wagon circle, or them RVs were circled. All the way down. And it's been that way at Alcorn, Jackson State, and even in Alabama. Alabama, going to Huntsville, or going to Mobile. They were there, and in Tallahassee. They always had nothing but the best of food, hospitality, and fans.
Southern hospitality. You gonna call
That's
it
Southern hospitality. Southern brought the hospitality with them.
Southern hospitality.
That's right. They brought the hospitality with them, and they enjoyed. They never met a stranger. They never met a stranger. It didn't make any difference who you were. You just be a stranger. You want something to eat? Get a plate. Get a plate. That was that. I guess being out of town, you would probably strangers would look and say, "That's real strange." People in certain areas are not used to that. But it was real nice.
Yeah. But I mean, it had to be. But now let's go back. I want to kind of clear something up. You said that federal government did not recognize the constable as law enforcement. That is interesting to me. So why would they not recognize the constable as law enforcement? There are so many different components of law enforcement agencies that it becomes somewhat confusing. I had to take a real strong approach, and when I say strong, I mean not aggressive, but just a strong approach to let them know what is it that you're looking for in law enforcement that you think the constable's office does not have.
I said, are they post certified? Why, yes. Under what standards? I said, well, having been in the sheriff's office 25 years, I said, they're under the same standards as the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office. Well, what training? I say, the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office Academy trains the Baton Rouge City Constable deputies. Now, I don't know about other constable's office, and let me just parallel that to you. In the state of Louisiana, the constable's office changed its name, or modified its name from constable to city marshal. Why? I don't know. I do know. I think I have an idea. They wanted to be closely associated with U.S. Marshals. Before I even got there, the Baton Rouge City Constable's Office never changed its name. New Orleans, first constable and second constable in New Orleans never changed its name. They remain constables. Constable is the oldest name in law enforcement. If you go back in history, the constable's office or the constable year in the city of Baton Rouge existed before the Baton Rouge Police Department.
Okay.
So, changing your name to grab what you think is an identity that you think you may have missed by having that name constable doesn't change you. So when they said constable, I said, no. I say, the deputy constables go to the same academy that the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's deputies go to, and many police departments go to. I said, really? I said, yeah. So when I sent the paperwork in and it was filled out, one of the FBI recruiters who does the backgrounds on the individuals going to the FBI Academy, when he looked at it, he said, I know where the misunderstanding is. The concept of constable is misinterpreted, and it's more or less interpreted to be different from what it actually is. Now, I don't know what they presume it to be, but it was different from what it actually is. We're post-certified, we get state, well, that was the other question there. Do you get state supplemental pay? Yeah. Well, in order to qualify for state supplemental pay, you have to be post-certified. And you have to be recertified and recertified and recertified in training with your firearms and everything else, and up to date in training. And somewhere along the way, by no one ever applying here from this area for that, they never received an application from a constable. You got it from Baton Rouge Police Department and from the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office. Because we sent people from the Sheriff's Office to the FBI Academy. So when I got to the constable's office and attempted to, and the first couple of years, I was getting drawback on it until I got that cleared up. And then I had to wait, I think, 2 years. We put on a waiting list because it's a long list. And the FBI pays for it. You go to Quantico, Virginia, and you live there for 90 days and you're trained under the FBI standards for law enforcement officers going back, and you meet persons from all over the world. I don't mean just the United States. People from all over the world that come to Quantico, Virginia to go to the FBI Academy. I went there for 2 graduations. Both of my deputies that I sent for the Baton Rouge City Constable's office, they both graduated with honors. And after that, there was never a question.
Well, that's just interesting. I never heard that said about Constable not being law enforcement, so I'm glad to hear it cleared up, because most people don't really know what the constable office, like, what do they really do? But you already give us a description of that, and the way you ran it, but also you coming out the sheriff office, that helped you to take the constable office to the next level.
Yeah, and that really helped me a lot. Let me tell you. Not only did it help me coming out of the sheriff office, let me tell you, my hat's off to him, and he's gone home to glory. Sheriff Litchfield, Colonel Fred Slyman, Colonel Mike Barnett, all of those, they gave me all of the support I needed when I got to the constable's office in order to be able to bring that office out. We didn't have cars when we got there. But I'll give you another little thing. When I first got to the constable's office, there was a gentleman that was in the jail working, and I told him, I said, I'm going to move you out on the road. He said, I don't have no car to drive. I said, we'll be on the road. I said, well, we'll address that. Well, the car that the interim constable who was Pat Banana, what he was driving, I was going to get that vehicle, and the deputy interim constable Harrison Baptiste, the car he was driving, my chief deputy was going to get in. Well, when I got there, I told the gentleman that I was moving out of jail, I said, you take that vehicle. It was unmarked, because they didn't have marked vehicles. All, they were plain clothes. And they had just taken them out of coat and ties and put them in some uniforms that I didn't really particularly like, but there's nothing I could do, because those were uniforms that had already been purchased. They were using them, and I let them run their course. But when it came time to replace them, I replaced them with some that I liked. But I gave the unit that I had, that the interim constable had. And the deputy came and said, what are you going to drive? I said, that SUV, you see, said out there. He said, it's your personal vehicle. I said, yeah, it's still my personal vehicle. He said, you don't drive your personal? I said, yes, sir. I said, not only am I going to drive it, I said, office doesn't have any money pay me to use to rent a car or mileage. You know what? I'm going to drive my unit for a year till we get a new budget. I'm going to drive my car. I took office January 2nd, 2001. And I drove my personal vehicle for 1 year under my insurance, my expense, my gas, and everything. Not a dime from the city or nobody else, my personal. That's how devoted I was to the office to make sure that we get some things in place. Before, when I came to that office, I spent a week interviewing everybody who worked in that office before I stepped in there. I didn't take office until January 2nd. I was across the street in my campaign office, and I was there in December. I had them send me one person at a time over there to spend at least 30 minutes with me. And I interviewed them. I have a folder with all of their interviews. I asked them, I said, I'm here to listen, not talk, listen. If you were elected constable today in my position, what changes would you see like you would like to see made, and what things do you see that are lacking that you need? I need each individual tell me in their own words by themselves, and my handwriting is a lot better then. I legibly wrote the time, the date, the time they came in, and the time they departed, and I wrote down key points of everything they said, each individual. I think it was 40, 49, might have been 50. The clerical people and all. I kept that. And when sometimes when someone would come in and say, well, you know, we need, I said, wait a minute. It's about this. I said, remember this red folder yet? I said, this is the red folder that has, I said, I can go back in there and open it and read to you what you told me on the day that I interviewed those who were there. When you told me. I said, and I don't recall you saying nothing like that.
So you don't get amnesia now.
Yeah, but I had, you know, but that's business. And I was just that committed. I wanted to make the positive changes. In order to have a positive change, you have to have a positive impact. Everybody didn't like some of the things I said, maybe not like some of the things. As a matter of fact, one of the simple things I did, and someone asked me about it, and I wrote the pilot. Well, I rewrote. They had a city police policy manual they were using, which that's fine. I took my time with a part of my staff, and we rewrote a policy manual for that office. In there, it had a dress code. That dress code was, if you wore a shirt, the shirt that we have, that if you're not wearing a tie with it, and you only wore a tie if you were in your Class A uniform, but you wore the shirt was open here, button to here. Well, if you had a T-shirt on under there, which most people did, I told them, I said, what we're going to do is, if you wear a T-shirt and it's under there, it can't be a crew cut. It has to be a V-neck if you're going to wear a white one. And I kind of started hearing people say, running a little bit about this. I said, I'll tell you what, not a problem. Y'all give me a list of the size of T-shirts. I'm going to buy everybody blue T-shirts. Because I didn't want a white, dingy-looking T-shirt showing up under your uniform. I wasn't going to wear one like that. I didn't want you to wear one. Now, if you can't afford it, that's okay. We're gonna fix that.
We're going to provide
for you. It's just like footwear too. Sure. And it was old saying, if you didn't buy it for me, you can't tell me about what I bought. We bought footwear. Not only for the men, bought footwear for the women. We bought footwear for the women under the safety net, because women were in the building where the jail was, that on occasions have to go to the jail, have to go to records, have to go to the courtroom, and for safety needs, I don't want you to walk around in high heel shoes or this, that. So I bought them safety shoes. That way everybody had.
Took care of everybody.
Right, took care of everybody. Try to make, and still you're going to have something wrong, but you know, you do the best you can.
Now, let's go here. I'm asking this question here about the 1972 shooting on Southern University campus. Now we got to visit that, because that was around your time. So what do you know or remember about the 1972 shooting, Denver and Smith, right?
At Southern?
Yeah, Southern University.
Okay.
Brown and Smith, it was Brown and Smith.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brown and Smith. Matter of fact, I went to one of the young men's funeral over in New Roads. I don't know if it was Brown or Smith, Denver Smith or Leonard Brown. I mean, I don't know which one it was, but it was in New Roads. But I was working in the governor's office of consumer protection at that time.
You working on Southern campus?
Yeah, no. I was in the governor's office downtown at the Capitol. Okay. And I had a son, my oldest son, was at Southern Lab, Reggie Jr., when that happened. And when they said it was an uprising and it was a shooting and 2 students had been shot, I had just put my car in the shop to have the oil change. And I went, and my coworker, I asked her, I said, can I use your vehicle? I got to go to Southern. I got to go get my son. And she said, you going up there? I said, well, yeah, my son's there. I got to. She said, you want me to go with you? I said, no. It's okay. You know, not because she was white, that I didn't want to go. Not because she was white, because she was willing to go. And I said, no, her name was Lee Malonson. I said, Lee, no, I went straight to Southern. I wasn't as up to date on all of the surrounding circumstances of the causes of the uprising, but I know the students were upset about certain things they didn't have, and one of the things I was told were phones and stuff. So during that time, and I wasn't a politician, I worked in politics, but the politicians that got together and said, there's got to be some things done to help with that situation there. And Joe Delphin asked me to say, would you think you might be interested, want to go to work up there at Southern, maybe a good permanent job, but at the governor's office then, that was a 4-year job, and 8 years at the most. And I said, well, what am I going to be doing? They said, they're going to need some people up there to work with students. I've always been a person that worked very closely with youth, communicators. I consider myself a good communicator. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I just consider myself, because I know if I don't know what to say, I just shut up, don't say nothing. And I was always taught, if you don't have anything to say that's for the good of the order, it's best not to say anything. And I said, well, let me think about it. But I thought about it, and I accepted going up there. I got hired in the business office at Southern, and my job, first job they gave me, I guess then was the hardest job in the world for me, director of the Centrex system. Centrex system regulated, managed, and operated the telephones for the university. But it also, they had put phones in the dormitories, in the rooms and stuff, and then they turned them on without getting the proper clearance at that time from families. So the university was responsible for the bills. So my job, needless to say, was to see what you could collect and see how you can moderate that situation, keep down any more uprisings. I developed a relationship with the student body. I can't think of the gentleman's name who was the student government president then, but the student government president was directed when they needed cars, things like that for the student body to go out of town, student affairs, it would come to me. Also, that would be a part of what I was assigned to do. I was under the, at the time when I went in, I was under Mr. Brew. Then after Mr. Brew left, Mr. Turner took over, Dr. Nelson left as president, Dr. Jesse Stone came in as president. But before all of that transpired, we were able to kind of moderate getting the temperature down as low as you could get them because it was still high. And also develop a relationship with student body. I traveled a lot of times where I didn't want to go and when I didn't want to go, but for the sake of the students, to make sure everything was fine. I know the student government president, Ben Guillory.
Okay.
Mr. Guillory was the student government president, and you had a number of other student body officials we helped. We started then bringing entertainers on campus to sort of break the monotony. Was able to get James Brown and several other individuals up there, and they got a lot done there to get it down. But the climate was high because the students, from what I was told, were totally dissatisfied because of a number of conditions. I don't know all of the particulars. I know the telephones were one, and I think some of the other conditions may have been living environments maybe, and some other issues. But I didn't know all of the particulars. My job was to do whatever I could do to make sure that anyone that I could help in that student government aggregation, work with them. And Ben Guillory was one, and I can't think there was another young lady that came in later on.
So you came after the fact.
I came after. I came after.
Bring resolution to.
I came up there, but the day of the shooting, it was such just a cloudy affair. I went to several other football games, and you had students that were not happy at the games. Well, the city didn't have a lot of people in it. I think I remember deputies throughout the entire environment there for a long period of time. And they just said, try to saturate yourself. And that was before I went to work up there. I started, from the governor's office, going over there, from consumer protection. I spent my time going over there just to talk and mix and mingle to see what, you could do to keep down whatever peace you could keep there. And the students, for the most part, adjusted. It took a while. Like anything else, 2 students have just been killed. 2 students are killed. And the year before that, you had the Muslim shooting on North Boulevard. I was down there for that. But yeah, so, a year and a year later, or so, maybe a few months later, or 9 months later, another shooting.
January and then November.
I think it was. I don't remember the exact date at Southern, but I know the Muslim shooting was on January because we just got back from Puerto Rico.
Now let's talk about you and Joe, your relationship with Joe Delpit.
Yeah.
And how y'all got to work together. But also the singing group that you managed and Joe that produced whatever. How did that come about?
Joe Delpit and a young man by the name of Lloyd Gibbons put together a group of young men, very talented. The core foundation of that group came from some young men in South Baton Rouge and that surrounding area who were looking for something positive to do. They had talent, they had ability, and they didn't have those type of jobs that would stabilize them like they would want to be so they could live the kind of life they would like to live. But they had talent, a lot of talent, and it was a number of those groups. A number of those young men. Joe and Lloyd Gibbons discovered it, put the group together. Two members of the group that were from South Baton Rouge said, "Oh, I got a couple of partners at Southern University playing the band. This one plays that instrument, that one plays that instrument. They may be interested in this part-time gig," because that's how it started off. Started off being able to supplement your living on campus and going to school and helping to put yourself through school by being a part of that group. The group was called and named the 13th Amendment. Lloyd Gibbons and Joe Delpit.
Well, why the 13th Amendment?
The 13th Amendment.
That's supposed to be there.
The 13th Amendment, you go back and look at what the 13th Amendment does, what it says. They named that group the 13th Amendment. And it was called the 13th Amendment Show and Dance Band. And Lloyd had a lot of ideas. Joe had some financial backing and the ability to motivate others to join to help, because you're getting some young men off the street, getting some young men that could possibly be headed for some other unpopular things in life, keep them from going that way. Lloyd became the manager, Joe became the financier partner. I got in more or less after it was organized and set up as a promoter.
He was the promoter.
As a promoter.
Okay.
And Lloyd and those guys got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 members of that band came out of Southern University's marching band. You had a couple of them that were working other jobs. One was a barber, one was a postman, and one was something else. And then 3 were just unemployed, but they were good, talented musicians. And the band, they put them in uniform, they played, and they were so talented. They played all types of music. Music that they could go to LSU and play. Matter of fact, one of the promoting companies was one who promoted groups that went to LSU. Band-Aid, I think, promotions. They promoted the band. Well, Joe and Lloyd took the band and used them in so many. Joe used them in his campaign. Lloyd used them in different fraternity and other organizational needs. And then we started traveling. Then we started, Joe, Lloyd, and myself, started traveling, going out of town, going to St. Martinville, Opelousas, places like that, looking for clubs that you could book the band in. Virginia, places like that. And it wasn't long, the band became a popular household word name in a number of those areas. Club Rebop in St. Martinville, in New Orleans, they played at 77, Club 77. In Virginia, they were in clubs, and sooner or later, the group was booked as a side act with major entertainers who came to town. And the 13th Amendment, Evan Evers used them for his inauguration. Right after his inauguration is when we got a USO tour, went to Puerto Rico. And some of those guys say, well, wait a minute, we got to go out the country. This is U.S. on tour. We're going to Puerto Rico, San Juan, Puerto Rico. For when? Christmas and New Year. And the guy said, we're going to be away from home for Christmas. Yeah. Well, Joe didn't go, Lloyd didn't go. I went, and a gentleman by the name of Mr. John Hatcher went, and we took the band. We flew out of New Orleans to San Juan, Puerto Rico for the U.S. tour. We played there for the Ramey Air Force Base. We played for, I think it was a naval installation and a marine installation there in Puerto Rico. It was a nice one. I mean, we enjoyed it. When we came back from that USO tour is when I was bringing the truck back on North Boulevard. I think it was a Monday. That Monday, the equipment had come back in. I had to go to the airport with the truck, pick the equipment up, bring the truck back to Simpsons, right next to the Temple Theater. That's when the day of the Muslim shootout on North Boulevard. But the 13th Amendment band, the gentlemen who played in that band, one of them is back here in Baton Rouge, retired. His name is Narvan Daniels. Narvan graduated after we got back from Puerto Rico, took a job in Kansas City, and became a history-making band director in Kansas City. Cornell Knight was assistant band director at Southern University. And Cornell also was a part of the 13th Amendment band. Lamont Grove became successful. He was a member of the Southern University marching band, and he was there. And then the other guys like Kemp Thomas, Moses Williams, Greg Williams, Reginald Parrish, Robert Wesley. You had another guy named Walker, and Alfred Butch Lucas, Kemp Thomas, all those guys.
What about, you forgot the name you told me, Linwood West.
Linwood West was on North Boulevard the day of the shooting of the Muslims. And we were, after I parked the truck, my mother was coming to pick me up. And I told her to park over the bus service station. I'd walk over there because the street was blocked off. Well, I walked up the street to find out what was going on, and a friend told me it wasn't nice. I said, okay, let me go on back. Now I had to get with my mom and stuff. On my way back, the lady, Miss Willie Mae, I can't think of Miss Willie Mae's last name. She's the lady that walked Baton Rouge all over with the white uniform on, white hat.
Oh, yeah,
everything.
she used to walk, yeah.
She was at the corner of North 14th, or South 14th rather. South 14th and North Boulevard on her knees praying. And that was my mother's church member. And she called me and she said, Butch, look at Miss Willie Mae right there. And we went down that service station. So when I got there and brought her, I came back and I saw Linwood. And I said, man, did they say anything else? He said, nah, after a while, people gonna be out here. And so we stood there and talked a minute. And before long, all of a sudden we heard a big pow go off and shooting started. And we ran to go get in the door at Bernard's Chicken House, which was right in our path, probably about 20 feet in front of us. They had closed the door and locked it. Linwood was on his knees knees. I was on my knees beating on the door. Open this door. Let us in. We crawled in and got behind the door. And I can't tell you how long. It looked like it was in there for 2 days. And I couldn't tell you what all we were doing, but I knew one of the things we were doing was praying.
Okay.
And when we opened the door and everything had settled, it wasn't stopping. The shooting had stopped. You just heard a lot of hollering and stuff. And looked up in the air and there was smoke and smog. Well, when Linwood and I walked out, there was a car parked in front of, just a little bit behind the front door of Bernard, and another car, and in between was a gap. And when we walked, to our amazement, there were 2 bodies. The 2 bodies happened to be Hancock and Wilder, 2 sheriff deputies. I think it was Louisiana Ambulance Service, because I remember the ambulance was orange and white, backed up, and the only thing I could get a guy said, man, please help me pick him up. Linwood and I helped pick each one of them up, put them on the gurney, and they put them in the ambulance and took off. And that just took everything out of me. Next thing I wanted to do was go see where my mama was, because I knew it wasn't up there. It was down by 13th Street, which is here to Robinson down in Norfolk. And mother was up on the other end by 14, by bus service station. And I went down and I said, come on, mother, let's go. We had to get out of here. And that was a shocker. But we helped pick both of them up, and we saw the aftermath of that, somewhat of the beginning, listening to that, because I think I saw the chief of police walking down the street along with Colonel Slyman, I think, and someone else. I think that's who it was. I'm not sure. But they were walking toward the line where the Muslims were standing. And that's when we started to walk back up. And the chief and the other people that were with him on one side going down, when we got back up, almost that's when the confrontation started. Who threw what first? I don't know. I just know that it started and we heard the pow, the hollering, and the shooting. And there wasn't no time to look around because
so it should be able to get out.
It was get down and get out of there. And we was trying to get in Bernard, and that's when we banged on the door. They finally opened that door and let us in. And we crawled behind that door, Linwood West Side.
I was glad to get inside.
Glad to get inside and look, and like I say, it sounded like, it felt like it was a couple of days being in there. I know it probably less than 20 minutes, but it felt like it was a couple of days, and the whole while I was in there, I didn't know if my heart was beat or it wasn't, but I know one thing, I know we're doing a lot of praying. Because, you just didn't know.
Before we close this podcast, I want you to, you've always been a community servant. As long as I've been known, you're always part of something, pioneer. You want to be starting something, part of something, in something. Major Brown you always had your hand in something, dealing with the community. You always did. But you started a program called Holiday Helpers. Now, how did you conceive that idea? What made you even think to do that? How did that come about?
That idea, I'm be honest with you, I have to be completely honest about it. We were at the Inn on the Lake, probably 2 weeks out from Thanksgiving, one day during the week. And Gordon Curry, who was a councilman, and Mr. McCants, and a couple of other individuals sitting at the table, eating. And I happened to be sitting there with them. And God asked and said, Reggie, what are people going to be doing Thanksgiving Day? Don't have a place to go to eat Thanksgiving dinner. And I candidly responded, I said, well, God, I guess some of the soup kitchens and churches, and they got places serving food. I said, but I don't know all of the particulars. I said, but they got some places people be able to go get a dinner. He said, well, I was thinking, why can't we put together a community-wide Thanksgiving dinner for people? I say, I think that would be a wonderful idea. I said, would you be interested in helping with doing that? I said, well, sure, I'd be happy to be. He said, well, I said, well, wait a minute. You're talking about next year, huh? And he looked at me and said, no, it's about this year. I said, God, do you realize it's less than 3 weeks before Thanksgiving?
3 weeks, huh?
3 weeks. He said, let me tell you something. See, these guys here, we gonna find the money. I know you know how to recruit people and get volunteers and promote and get people involved. We gonna get the money to pay for it. I said, well, hold up. You just hit the key point. The money. I said, and the lady, I can't think of Eileen, I think was her name, was not the manager of the hotel, but the food and beverage manager. I said, Miss Eileen, what y'all got going over at the Independence Hall on Thanksgiving Day? She said, nothing. I said, y'all not serving dinner? She said, we'll serve Thanksgiving dinner right in the dining room here there. I said, look, could you go get Chef Bailey in the kitchen?
Chef Bailey.
Could you go get Chef Bailey in the kitchen and ask him to step out here? And I need to ask him something, because I want to put him right in front of them. So Chef came out with a big white hat on, with his, flamboyant self. Major, what you want? I say, Chef, Councilman Curry wants to know if he was able to get the funding to pay for food and everything, if we would be able to put on a Thanksgiving dinner and feed anybody that came through those doors over in the Independence Hall. I need to find out if you and your cooks would be able to prepare a non-profit meal for us on that day at no charge. You asked an awful lot there. He said, but you know what? That's right down my alley, helping people. If they're willing to do that, me and my kitchen crew will prepare and serve the meal till they ain't got no more left. I said, well, Chef, put your cooking hat on and get your crew together. We off to the races. That's how it got started, I think in 1987. That's how it got started. And we started contacting people, and the first one was in the Independence Hall. Matter of fact, people who are not with us, a lot of people not with us now, but some of the most memorable people I remember who was there came and volunteered, and along with a number of other police officers and sheriff's deputies and all. But Betty Smothers was right there.
Officer Betty Smothers.
Officer Betty Smothers was right there that day in the hall, making sure everybody was comfortable. Mr. Jerry Lane, who is not with us, sponsored vehicles to deliver food all over Baton Rouge to anybody who couldn't come out.
Well, you get that here, Eric. Your daddy was out there doing
That's right. The food was prepared and put in boxes that they could carry out. And it went out just like that. And you had so many others. As a matter of fact, Mockler Beverage, Coca-Cola, all of those. Coca-Cola's been a lifelong sponsor, and so was Michael Beverage. And the Lane family. These are mainstays, Lamar Advertising, all of those. I mean, they put forth everything you could do to make sure that we got what we needed. Matter of fact, I came back and told Joe Devlin, I said, man, we need whatever help you can give. He said, whatever we can contribute, we're gonna do that. And he was on, I think Joe was on the council there. And we had people from all around.
I mean, you got
LSU students came and helped volunteer. Southern students came and helped volunteer. Because I've always believed in, if we mobilizing people, let's mobilize the entire community, not just some. I told people, any organization I've ever worked with, if we're going to have something that is not going to be all-inclusive, I'd rather not be a part of it, because there's enough room for everyone to participate, to contribute, and to help, and to be a part of. That way you can unify the effort.
Get the whole community involved.
And that Thanksgiving dinner, before they say, well, what are you going to do with the food that's now? That's, you know, you're going to put it in that dumpster? I said, no, sir. I contacted the people at St. Vincent de Paul. I said, look, whatever food we have left, can we bring it over to you all? And it was always prepared in a cafeteria in the kitchen, either at the Inn on the Lake, Belmont, and Ramada Inn. Always in the kitchen, with chefs, certified chefs. Whatever food's left, they could preserve it till, if it's done on Thursday, Friday morning, we were there in the trucks to pick it up to bring it over to St. Vincent de Paul. St. Vincent de Paul serves 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 366 in a leap year. So when Michael Acaldo came to St. Vincent de Paul, he came and found that going on. And it continued through our 30th year. And when I told them the core people of Holiday Helpers, the core people, most all of them had expired and gone on to their next heaven where their wings were waiting on them. We were down to the bare bones of just a few. And the few that were there were getting older, slower, and more unable to do, just like me, to do that. So we're going to have to shut it down. And Michael called us and said, no, we're not. I said, huh? He said, no, you ought to carry this for 30 years. We carried it for 30 years. I said, you ought to carry that for 30 years. He said, for those 30 years? I said, nah, you can't do that. He said, we're going to pick it up and we're going to keep the dinner at the because Tommy McHugh had incorporated it into the city's plan to have the Thanksgiving-wide dinner right there at that time called the Centralplex. Later became the River Center. But then it was the Centralplex. And he said, bring it right here, because believe it or not, every place we went to, the Inn on the Lake closed down and demolished. The Belmont closed down and demolished. The Ramada Inn closed down and demolished. And Tommy McHugh said, bring it on home where it needs to be. Right in the center of the city. He said, it's not holiday helpers, you all are everyday helpers, actually. Tommy had said that. And I said, yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate that. And today, just this past year, even during the pandemic, even during Katrina, even during the worst of storms and hurricanes, when they didn't have a kitchen at the Centralplex, the chefs brought big pits out there, fixed the food, and then brought it inside to serve. They didn't have a kitchen. But it went on. It never stopped. It never missed a beat.
And I'm telling you, you had sometimes more volunteers than you had.
We never solicited volunteers after the first two.
But look, I gotta give some credit to my partner. He showed up. He showed up for many years. Malcolm Miles. Malcolm Miles.
Oh yeah.
Malcolm showed up year after year. I
Yeah.
would go there. I was missing years. 2 years. I go back.
Malcolm helped us get sweet potatoes and everything else we needed, and you had a number of other people like Malcolm Myers doing things to help with the holiday helpers. Matter of fact, holiday helpers didn't stop with just Thanksgiving. We went on to Christmas and then to Easter. We were the first to bring Santa Claus in by helicopter. We brought him in by helicopter every year, weather permitting. And I only think we missed maybe 4 years, not 4 consecutive, but a year here and a year there. If it was too foggy and unsafe to fly the helicopter, the sheriff's office brought Santa Claus in the unit. Matter of fact, how the helicopter got started, I was the first chairman of the South Baton Rouge Christmas parade for Joe Delpit and C. Bell Thomas.
See there.
And the state police helicopter, Joe Delpit arranged that to bring me in to Expressway Park. That's where my idea came to highlight the Santa Claus arrival with the helicopter. He makes an early visit and then he exits, and he makes an early visit to say hello to you few little kids here, and he exits out because he's coming back on Christmas morning. But in South Bend, and from there, we did the Easter. We had the Easter Bunny costume for the Easter Bunny. We had Santa Claus costume for Santa Claus, and then of course I played Santa Claus for the first year at Expressway Park, but that was before Holiday Helpers. But then thereafter, I told him, I said, now look, I'm not going to be Santa Claus. We got to get a Santa Claus, because I can't do this and play Santa Claus. So, but we did that, and every school we went to, it was always a highlight of that occasion. And we went to every school, every elementary school in East Baton Rouge Parish, from down as far south in South Baton Rouge to as far north to Zachary, Cheneyville, Central, and all out in that area. We brought Santa Claus in.
I knew y'all were way operating outside of the area.
Oh, no. If it was in East Baton Rouge Parish, we were gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in East Baton Rouge Parish, we were gone. And that was just, I love doing that. And with 100 Black Men, with the back to school, we did the first 100 Black Men back to school drive at the Centroplex. And we had the biggest crowd, a cross section of people from all over. Now, I can't tell you they came off East Baton Rouge Parish, because they did. They came from Livingston Parish, West Baton Rouge Parish, Ascension Parish, Iberville Parish, Parkview Parish, West Baton Rouge, all over. And it was we had over 7,500 students.
I remember I was down there for that. That was a huge event.
Huge.
I mean, y'all turned it out.
I've got Ray Godfrey and Larry Smith trusted me to put it on and say, how much is this going to cost? I said, now, if you're going to ask how much it costs, then that means we can't afford to do it. We don't need to do it. That's not even think about doing it. And they said, no. I said, okay, I'm going to sign on to do it for 3 years. I did for 3 years, and we loaded the Centralplex up, and I think out at 100 Black Men, I was one of the founding board members of 100 Black Men when it came to Baton Rouge.
You one of the founding members?
Yeah, Ray Scott asked me to participate if you. I was one of the founding members.
I was supposed to be one of the founding members.
Look on the history of the board.
Because CJ Blosh, CJ would come to my restaurant.
Yeah.
The first meeting was at Buffalo Way.
Right.
The first meeting they had was at Buffalo Way. And CJ asked me, my friend Greg Bowser, to be a part of it. Well, at that time, I wasn't much being part of different organizations because I just got out of football and I wasn't much on it. But I can say that CJ did offer that opportunity for me to become a part of it.
Look, you missed it. Well, but you've done so much, and that's good. And the 100 Black Men organization today, as I look back on to see where it came from to where it is today, and then you look at the flowers that have blossomed from it, because that too, Everett, I can't think of Everett's last name, the musician Everett, the musician for Shiloh Baptist Church. He and I teamed up together and wrote a theme song for 100 Black Men. It's patented, and it talked about what 100 Black Men was all about. The theme song, and Everett Parker, that's his name, Everett Parker. And we did that 100 Black Men theme song, but we carried the kids all over to conventions. Matter of fact, Washington, D.C., to other conventions that the 100 Black Men did. And Larry Smith, and Brace Godfrey, the late Brace Godfrey, did a lot to make sure that organization got its foothold here in Baton Rouge. We met at the state capitol in one of the boardrooms there until it got started. And Joe Delpit, who was also a founding member on the board, was one of the guys that helped to secure or help them to locate the building that they're in now at the corner of Foster Drive and Fairfield. It was a Louisiana National Bank building. And he helped to facilitate that building for 100 Black Men along with others. He didn't do it all by himself, but he was one of the initial negotiators there. And
So the 100 men, y'all been around probably since the early 90s.
Yep.
Because I remember they came up my restaurant around 90, 91. When they first started the process, 89, 90, somewhere up in there. So what year did you guys start? Do you remember the year?
I don't remember the exact year.
But I
matter of fact, wait a minute, I'll tell you exactly the year.
How many years?
It was in. You're right. It was 91 or 92.
That'd be the 90 because it was coming to my restaurant.
Somewhere around that time. So somewhere in that. What I'm thinking, somewhere in that time, it was early 90s.
So you got to be at the 41, 42, 43 years right about now.
Oh, they've been. Matter of fact, they did a some type of and I didn't make the last banquet, but last 100 Black Men fundraiser, they had a number of people there. Matter of fact, one of the church members at Shiloh, Mr. Herman Johnson, who was a member, he had asked me about I was missing at that function, and I told him, I said, I didn't know about it. I said, I've been sort of out of pocket for a while. I said, but I didn't know about it.
You know you don't miss too much.
Well, no, not really. And by the pandemic stymied a lot of things that were going on. Because I remember one year I went to the banquet. It was at the LaBerge, and I had just come out of surgery, and it was so cool. I had that full wool overcoat on. I had just come out, wool overcoat, because I had just come out of the hospital from pneumonia. Ooh. And I told the doctor, I said, I've got to go to this structure. He said, well, you better be wrapped up. And
you just left the hospital with pneumonia going to
my wife came, she said, you gonna wear this full wool overcoat with the scarf and everything. And it worked out fine. It was real nice right there at LaBerge.
Now, we can't close this thing without telling who's your wife. Your wife is here today. What is her name?
My wife's name is Gail Marie Miller Brown. And we've been together for over 20-some years. And she's a good customer in Buffalo. She's been a masterpiece in my life.
Oh, I like that.
She helped to restructure me and reorganize me.
That's a lot of work.
It took a lot of work. Look, as the doctor was saying, as he was taking this last hip out, he said he had to do a lot of chiseling to get it out. But she had to do a lot of chiseling and stuff. But she got it done.
Like they said on Spud, Woodworth told SpongeBob, "You're a piece of work."
Yeah.
You're a piece of work, man.
Yeah,
bro, you're a piece of work.
But I love my wife, and I tell you, she and her family have been a major part of my life for over 20-some years, and I had 4 kids, and the oldest one lost his life by a DWI driver in 2003.
Like 20 years ago.
December 2003. December the 19th, 2003. He was born November 19th, 1965, and he lost his life December 19th, 2003. He was 38 years old.
He was nice. He had a little more class than you, though.
No. I got to tip my hat to him.
I know, you get this from your daddy.
Look, he'd have to come look at me and Dad, is that you?
He was a classic guy.
Look, another, never been a stranger. Personality plus.
He really.
His daughter, just before you came, his daughter just left here. She was 7 years old when he got killed, and I was the only child he had. And she now is a graduate of Xavier, got a master's degree from Xavier, and working on a PhD at Holy Cross. And she has been everything of what he would have dreamed of her being. He used to call her his little angel. Well, she really is. Mm-hmm. She's an angel, and
what's her name?
Her name is Chelsea Brown. Chelsea Brianna Brown.
Now, hold on. Now we got to give the other 3 children name. What's the name of the other 3 children?
My other children was Tashara Williams now, and Delana Brown was my next son, and my other daughter is Renee Williams. So I had 2 girls, 2 boys. And of that family, I think right now we've got 12, and I can't leave out my adopted son, Thomas Paul. Thomas Paul has been with me since he was 12 years old. He is me and my mama's son.
Me and my mama.
He lived in the Blunt Road apartments, 1900 Blunt. And he used to always come over. Strange how I met him. He came over, and I was cutting my grass in Park Vista. And he was walking by, and he said, hey, can I cut your grass for you? And I said, no, I don't need nobody to cut my grass. I cut my grass myself. I was just that quick. I cut him off. And he went on walking down the street. and something hit me and said, why did you do that? And I ran down the street. I said, hey, come here, man, come here. I said, I apologize, I should have told you like that. What you gonna cut my grass with? I was gonna ask you for me to help me. I use your mower. I said, well, come on. You can't, come on. From that day forward, we've been together. He's 50 years old now. From that day forward, we've been together. He was the one that I took under my wing. Well, my mother did too, because she would sit him at this table. The chair you sitting in, that's my mama's chair.
Oh, man, I feel honored.
He would be sitting right there, and she'd have a book there for being a retired teacher. She'd read out of this book right here. Teach him to read and write, right there at the table. And I'd always tell him, I said, Thomas, you don't have to, and he, by the way, he's married, has 2 kids, lives in Bruder. Both his kids, 2 boys, one runs track, both play football for Bruder High. One runs track, the other play baseball. Thomas was a hell of a baseball player himself. Yeah. But whenever I was doing things with holiday helpers, he was right there. He and Reggie Jr. Matter of fact, the year Reggie Jr. got killed, that November, I had got sick got sick before Thanksgiving Day. But I was able to bring the stuff down, and I said, Reggie, you got to go down and help manage things, because Gail had told me, said, no, you ain't going out there, you got to come, you're wheezing, you got to come back in here. I said, well, I'm just going down there and carry this and come back. She said, no, I'm going to go down there with you. So I went down there and made sure I came back. And Reggie was there that day to make sure everything went well Thanksgiving Day. That was the last Thanksgiving dinner he had with holiday helpers. And the pictures I got of him with a couple of Kitno and some other Vietnamese friends that I had that brought their families in, because we had people all around. When we had Thanksgiving dinner, I can remember one dinner we had the bishop, we had the rabbi, Bishop Hughes,
Okay.
Bishop Hughes, Rabbi Weinstein, and Reverend Charles Smith. All 3 at that dinner, standing up there together. I got scrapbooks with them in at that. I mean, that's just how big the dinner was, and people came from all around. We had the Colorado University would come here with Dr. Barbara Carpenter doing things up at the university, that partnership she had with them going, students from Southern would go to Colorado and they would come here. Well, when they came here, Dr. Barbara Carpenter told them, I want you all to see what we do for Thanksgiving. Those students started coming back on a regular basis, wanting to come here for Thanksgiving just to volunteer. They would take their Thanksgiving holiday to come to holiday helpers. And then we would carry them to the Bayou Classic.
Okay.
The next day.
They came for the Bayou Classic, did
Well, I would think, I won't believe they came for holiday help.
Well, yeah, they came in.
And then they went to the Bayou Classic.
After something to do, give them something to do after.
Yeah, but it was, but that's the camaraderie that you got. And I know you can see sometimes I was teary-eyed, and then sometimes just joyful. That's the joy you get, because as that old record goes with joy and pain. Joy and pain.
Sunshine and rain.
Signs of rain. And in every life, tears are going to come, so rain's going to come. You're going to have some tears. Tears fall, but you're going to have a lot of enjoyment. You're going to have much more enjoyment than you have tears. And I enjoyed everything. I'm 77 years old. And if tonight or tomorrow is the last day I'm on this earth, I will not have missed anything. I've enjoyed every day of my life. I've enjoyed my family, my friends, my loved ones, and those that don't really care for me. I've enjoyed them. Because, really. Because every night I go to bed, I pray. I pray for those that I know that may not care for me. But I pray for all others, because you can't be real if you're not going to do that. You can't be real. Everybody's not going to like you. They don't have to hate you, but they might not like you. They might not like something about you. And that's why I've always tried to maintain myself in a humble capacity. And when I would go places, I'll give you a good example. Being city constable as a CEO, you get a chance to wear a nice decorated uniform and stuff, and like the chief of police and the sheriff when you go the Class A uniform. Well, I went some places and they would see, is that the chief of police now? Is that sheriff? Come on! If they miss me, they hurt my feelings. And somebody might say, hey, Mr. Constable, you better not say, not a problem. Oh, you know, hurt my feelings.
You get caught up in that.
It's okay. I'm good. I know who I am. I know where I've been. I know what I've done. I know what I ain't. So, if you didn't call my name or you didn't recognize me, it doesn't hurt my feelings. Because I know when you need me, you'll call me.
Okay.
And if you don't need me, you don't call me.
But anyway, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank our dear friend and historian. I don't know why I left that out. The historian. And man who created Major Topic. We didn't even take a chance to talk about the Major Topic. That's kind of major. How did Major Topic get started? Give us some history.
Major Topic got started with a friend of mine by the name of Miss Denise Johnson and Miss Leanne Wild. Gus Wild's wife, Leanne Wild, and Denise Johnson came up. I told them, they knew I'd done a coaches sports show when Charlie Bates was coaching Southern, and I did the coaches bench. And I told him, I said, I don't want to do another sports show. I say, I'm in a different perspective now in life. I love sports, but there's some things out there that need to be said in a more serious arena, the life that we live in today. In the Baton Rouge City Constable's office, in our communities, all communities surrounding. And Leanne Wild came up with the name, and Denise Johnson was at the Q106 at that time. And she said, we are going to host that show. And Leanne helped put it together, and the rest is history. For 15 years, it went on, and probably will be going on except for the pandemic. And when the pandemic came, we had to get out of the station because it just wasn't safe to be there doing it. And after that, I thought, I said, you know what?
You ain't going back in there.
Nah, it's time. It's time for me to pass it on. Let someone else, just like the constable's office, let someone else pick it up and take it forward. And that's what. But Major Topics, I probably got copies of every show that I've done on CDs, and it was an enjoyable journey also. Just incredible. We had people from, unbelievable people from all over, you name it, people from all over, not just the community, but this country. That was on the show. judges, I'm talking about federal judges, U.S. attorneys, prosecutors, teachers, ministers, everyday citizens out there, lay people, athletes. You know, the only thing that we didn't have on the show, they were elected officials, but after, if you were running for office, you couldn't come on the show. That included me. When it came time for my election, I got off the show, and my first couple of years I was running for office. The Honorable Mayor Sharon Western Broom did my show.
Oh, that's why Sharon took it over, because she running for office. Okay, I could figure
okay. When I was running for, she did my show for me.
Yeah, I remember that. That's I couldn't figure out why. Okay, she did it for a couple of months or something.
And we had Dr. Banks, and we had just Judge Kitty Kimball, sheriffs from all around the state, persons from outside the state. Matter of fact, I can't think of the gentleman's name. He's the minority whip in the House. He was on the show. I can't think of his name. I'm from South Carolina or North Carolina, one. I can't think of his name right now. But he was on the show. David Dugas from the U.S. Attorney's Office was on the show. We've had just a number of
countless numbers of people, and also just the community things that you was
you
always involved
because it was about the community.
So
matter of fact, give you a good idea. A good topic matter is we started the Louisiana Gun Safety Program, where everybody had a part to play. The U.S. Attorney's Office, the Sheriff's Office, the Constable's Office, the Chief of Police, the District Attorney, the Attorney General, the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, ATF, everybody had a role in the Louisiana Gun Safety Program, and how that program got kicked off. We started, and it was sponsored with our tax dollars. We didn't use tax dollars for that. Mr. Richard Lipsey helped formulate a plan to get the gun trailers built. We had one gun trailer that the Safety Council gave us that had been sitting up somewhere just in somebody's lot, rusting it in. We got it, cleaned it up. We got two more built like it. Put one in North Louisiana, one in South Louisiana, and one here in the Middle District. One was red, one was white, one was blue. Okay. And it were highlights of not gun control or anything like that, gun safety. Because we assist them into the understanding that we've got to do something about gun violence, because number one, Louisiana is a sportsman's paradise. And if we're the sportsman's paradise, this is a very poor way of displaying what a sportsman's paradise is supposed to look like to people who like to hunt, fish, and do all of those things. You know, with all of the gun violence. And we did a wonderful job on it. We went anywhere anybody wanted, at a fair, a church, a school, everywhere. We did it. And we had professional people doing it. Firearm instructors were the only ones. We shoot the watermelon in the tank to let people see what an actual bullet could do to a watermelon. I separated it, and they did it. And the young man who helped develop the program, he died, I think, in 2016. He helped me with it. It was Captain John Lawton from the Baton Rouge City Constable's office. He was our firearms instructor, one of the firearms instructors. And And he, by the way, was the first individual we sent to the FBI Academy.
Oh, okay, good.
He did it. So, that the major topics talked about that. And the name of the program was the Louisiana Gun Safety Program. And it incorporated every agency with their logos across the trailer. We didn't want nobody left out. And on the brochures.
Did you also start the DARE program?
The DARE program, without question. I was supervisor of the DARE program in the sheriff's office. And when I came to the constable's office, we started the DARE program.
You still doing it?
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, we came to your school when you were doing pass.
Yeah, sure, that's right.
At Ryan L.
That's right, that's what I'm saying.
That's right.
You've always been involved. You've always been involved.
And look, those guys, look, the DARE, let me tell you something. For those persons who don't know, so I don't be a DARE officer, I said, I can understand why you don't, because you might not be perfectly fit for that job. And by that I mean, it is harder to go through 2 weeks of DARE school than it is to go through 12 weeks of law enforcement school. It's harder. Because being a DARE officer, you are a special individual. Remember who you are. You're talking to 5th grade students. You are 21, 24, 25, 30, 40, 50. So you have to de-escalate yourself down to this level to talk to that 5th grader and communicate. I don't mean just talk at them and look down on them. Look at them and communicate. There's a difference in communication and communicating with someone and talking. We can talk all day and it go over your head. But when you're talking to someone and communicating, you're getting your point across. They're understanding it. They hear what you're saying. You're a teacher. That's what a DARE officer is. A DARE officer is a teacher. They teach that student the do's and the don'ts of not just staying away from drugs and guns, but staying away from trouble. Staying away from using foul language. Staying away from not speaking and having good personality and knowing how to speak to people, meet and greet people. You teach that kid that. And you start off, we had them in the 5th grade doing it, but they even go from 1st on up to 5th grade. Now, they're graded on that 5th grade student because that's actually when you can go in the DARE program. But the ones coming up, they're looking. And if you're doing a good job with that 5th grade DARE student and he or she's wearing that DARE shirt walking around, don't you know that other student coming up in 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade say, I want one of them. Just like they say, I want to wear number, what was your number, 40, what? 40,
You're 94 at LSU and 52 in Atlanta.
I want to wear number 52. I want to wear number 43. I want one like that. And when they say that, it's just like, it's something that you did that attract that kid's attention. So, those are things, linemen, that they're priceless. They're priceless. And when those types of things, those gifts, you see them and you cherish those moments. And when I used to sit there and at every DARE graduation, when I was in the sheriff's office and in the constable's office, when I saw that graduating class come across that stage, I stayed there and shook every hand of that kid coming across that stage. And then we got to the point where we started having all of the DARE classes from one graduation at Southern University in the FG Clock Activity Center. And we brought them all down that one specific day. And as they walked across the stage, I shook their hand. You know, and it was there was a young lady, and I can't walk there without mentioning her name. She's not well today, but she was there every step of the way with us with the DARE program. She was always known, a motivator and an inspirator to children. Her name was Miss Pinky.
Pinky.
Miss Pinky.
The slim young lady.
That's right.
Miss Pinky was a singer too.
Miss Pinky was a singer.
Yeah,
She went to the Apollo Theater, and she came back, and she spent all of her time devoted to kids. And she had Miss Pinky's Excel Dance Program, Excel Dance Structure Program. She taught kids how to dance in a respectful manner. And every year we had the DARE graduation, she brought her dancers to Southern University and put them on stage, as long as she was able to do that. And to her family, wherever they are today, I talk to them every so often. And they'll see this. I want them to know that how much I'm indebted to Miss Pinky for what she did with kids. Because anybody who's out there touching their lives, that's where our lives need to be spent today. People like me, I can't raise somebody that's 30, 40, 50 years old. They've been, I might be able to change some of them if they got some bad habits or whatever, might be able to change them. But I can touch the life of that child coming up if we reach them early enough. And I got to get them early enough. And anybody else who is interested in making a difference in this world today, you need to touch the life of one of these children that are coming up. Because they need it.
Well, thank you, my dear friend and brother, Major Brown, for allowing me to come into your lovely home and your lovely wife, Gail, for letting me be able to sit here today at the Master's feet and hear the words of wisdom and insight and knowledge and so much history. And look, I know, knowing you, you ain't even got started good. Because there's so much in you, so much that you've done, you want to do, you still want to do. But I thank you, Major Reginald Brown, for allowing me to come into your home and sit here and capture your story and your history. Thank you for being on Count Time.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you coming here. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you, my brother.
I need one of your jerseys so I can put it upstairs.
I deserve to be in that room.
Yeah.
I deserve to be in Major Brown.
You give me one of your football jerseys with your number.
All right.
You give me LSU or Atlanta. I don't care which one. Both. Don't make me no difference. Well, look,